All right, you really should be. But here's where I'm going to start. Because we have three people on this episode, I thought it'd be a good exercise to go through the major conferences and pick a winner. So this comes off of John Fanta for Fox Sports. He released his winner prediction for the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12, SEC. I would like to either go. I want to go through those and either agree with him, or I would like to have a discussion with you three on who should be in that spot. So we're gonna start with the ACC, obviously, because we got Riley present here. John Fanta picked Duke to win the ACC. Are we in agreement that that is the correct pick?
For the most part, yes, but I gotta have a little bit of devil's advocate and just say Duke never wins the ACC regular season. Like I think before the Paulo Banchero team, it had probably been like at least 10 years since they had won one. They always win the ACC tournament, but I think that's always like it just seems like they tend to take longer to gel, especially with like the freshman heavy rosters that cost them early on in conference play before they start to get rolling. But yeah, I wouldn't pick against Duke, but if I did, I wouldn't hate like if you zagged with Clemson or Miami, even UNC and pick them to win.
As much as I want to disagree with this, I think that it is the correct choice to pick Duke as the early, favorite for the ACC. I haven't like heard anything about Flip as far as like practice and how he's looking. I don't know if you have, Riley, or not, but I just feel like it's been pretty quiet on that front, and it's kind of weird because that's such a vital point of everything that people are predicting with with the ACC and Duke in general.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's like been cleared to practice and everything, and I think has been cleared for full contact. Um, but I don't know. I haven't heard any reports as far as like, oh, he's looking just as mobile as ever, even more mobile than he was last year or whatever. Which that is, if Duke doesn't win, and I think it's going to be because Flip is still getting healthy at the start of conference play.
I want to make my pick.
Gregory?
I'm just going to approach this by my gut pick of who wins this, not who is the best team on paper. Because Duke is the best team on paper. If you're doing like a whole preseason thing, you should pick Duke. I think Miami wins the ACC regular season. It's my
I
pick.
like that pick.
It's my pick. I've seen them like 10 to 15 range in a lot of polls. I think people are greatly underestimating a really good offseason, quite frankly. We just saw this team make a tournament run, be in the Final Four. They get Pack back. They get Norchad back. I love the Matthew Cleveland ad, like to just rip him from an in-state rival, I think was massive. And I think Matthew Cleveland's pretty damn good. So I like what they have. I really do. And I'm taking them seriously. I like teams that like bring a core back from a team that was so close to the mountaintop. And like Riley said, Duke never wins the regular season. I think if this Duke team hits, it'll be more dangerous in the NCAA tournament than it will be in the ACC regular season.
I like that pick. I'm not mad at that. Miami's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. And then you didn't even mention. I don't know if you mentioned Pack or not, but like them getting Pack back is crazy too. I think he's gonna be one of the best players. Honestly, I think he'd be my favorite to win ACC Player of the Year, whether they win the conference or not.
He could have some stupid numbers this year. Like the more we talk about it
Crazy.
with Isaiah Wong gone, like
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising at all if he averaged like 17 points, probably 5 assists or something. I feel like that's in the realm of possibilities.
yeah.
All right. Now, speaking of Player of the Years, we're gonna move on to Big 12, and John Fanta picked the Kansas Jayhawks and just newly named preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, Hunter Dickinson. How do we feel about Kansas being this pick here? I think a lot has transpired. I'm sorry, is the word, has transpired over the past couple days, weeks, months, whatever you want to call it. Are you guys still staying strong? Do you feel like Kansas should still be the favorite in the Big 12?
I'm like, I knocked them down from being number one when they lost Arterio Morris, and like, yeah, bad dude. That's my statement on Arterio Morris. But maybe that's odd because he might not have even started. But I feel like they needed someone of his, like with his athleticism, with his pedigree in the backcourt to sort of reach their ceiling. Like the roster just gets a lot more bleak without having that kind of third guard beyond Nick Timberlake, who's moving up a huge level, and DeJuan Harris, who is as good as he is as a floor leader, quote unquote floor leader. Shout out to that Indiana fan. They need someone who can get a bucket and who is going to be able to like pressure the rim. And yeah, I'd be almost more inclined to pick Houston or even Texas to win the Big 12 now. then again,
That's a great
it's tough to bet
transition,
against.
Riley.
It's
That's a
tough to bet
great.
against Bill Self. Like he's won the conference so many times, but
You know what? I think we need to change, Riley, because I've been saying that. I've been saying it's so tough to bet against Bill Self. It's so tough to do this. It's so tough to do that. You know what? Maybe it's not as tough as we think. Okay. Maybe we need to stop giving them such a pass just because they have Bill Self. I get it. Like at worst, Kansas will probably find themselves as a 5 seed. That'll be detrimental to the program. But at the same time, there's so much going on. Like all in one day with Kansas, a player is dismissed for rape. They get a recruit, and then they get recruiting violations. There's a lot going on, and then there's a bunch of nonsense about what happened at the Midnight Madness. I don't care what any Kansas fan says. Your own coach was in a tizzy about what happened, so you can't tell me just to look over it and act like it's nothing. I'm going with Texas to win the Big 12, and I've been wanting to make that pick because I love Texas. Kansas has done nothing but give me more reason to pick Texas. I like also holding stock and staking a claim to being like the one guy that wants Rodney Terry to succeed as well. I think it'd be really good to see him do it. I thought he had the chance to do it last year in the tournament, and that Texas team was playing extremely well towards the end of the season. So I like what they added in the portal, obviously. Dylan Mitchell coming back will be good. Dessou's back as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and actually make the full leap to Texas being the team that wins the Big 12.
I endorse that message. That's my pick. To just put it plainly, I think Max Abmas and Tyrese Hunter is the best backcourt in the country. I love that duo. We got to see how it works, but Tyrese Hunter is the one that is the most interesting to me because I thought he was going to be their best player last year. And I thought for the first month of the season, he was their best player. And then all of a sudden that just stopped. And Marcus Carr was playing really well. So I think that's why it stopped. And Texas was obviously good, but it's just like he just stagnated, never really got over the hump. And he would have a game like once every 3 weeks where you saw the flashes of oh, this kid's insane when he plays well, but it wasn't consistent. I like the fit for Hunter better next to Abmas because I think Abmas is going to be almost better off ball than he is on ball for this team. I know he had to do everything at Oral Roberts, but I like him being able to step into a more complementary role. And I think Hunter works best on ball, and Marcus Carr just needed the ball to be effective last year. So I've also said it before, the most valuable asset in college basketball is a lottery pick type who returns for their sophomore season. Not that Dylan Mitchell would have been a lottery pick, but McDonald's All-Americans back in year 2 typically take a massive jump. So I'm expecting that from Mitchell. I love this core. And they have Dylan Dessou. And Carter has said that any team that has Dylan Dessou is a big threat.
Dylan Dessou was really good towards the end of last season.
He was. I'm with Carter on that. I got to add one more note on Dylan Mitchell. For one, Greg, agree with you completely on Tyrese Hunter. People forget when he entered the portal, he was consensus top 3 dude available, his freshman year after at Iowa State. But with Dylan Mitchell, this should only give you more confidence. I ranked him, I think, 5th or 6th in my Almanac breakout player lists, and in some internal dialogues, there was one member of the Almanac team whose name rhymes with Pon Shaw, who said Dylan Mitchell, who was not in on Dylan Mitchell being that high. So
that means he's going to be first team all Big 12.
Correct.
Got it. All right. Moving on to the Big East, and John Fanta actually picked the official Big East team of sleepers, Creighton. I have absolutely no problem with this pick. I think that a lot of people are going with Marquette, but Marquette did lose a really good player in Omax. And this Creighton team basically brings back, everybody except for Nebhard. But, the streets are telling me my Stephen Ashworth correspondent, Riley Davis, who's with us today, is telling me that Ashworth might even be better, honestly, in this offense than Nebhard was. Not saying he's necessarily a better player, but just you have a 42%, I think it was, 3-point shooter. That's going to be amazing for their offense. I'm completely in on Creighton. I have a Creighton future place currently. I have no problem with this pick. Anybody else got any problems with this pick? Greg, I feel like I feel like you're thinking right now, like you want to go against me, like we're not a Creighton podcast.
Well, I'm throwing to Riley first on all of these, but since you directed it my way, I'll go Creighton. Or I'll give my pick. I'm not going Creighton. We are a Creighton podcast. I want to make that clear. I'm not backing away from that. Although the Elite Eight rings terrify me. Like that's we have to have a conversation about that. And we even had like some Creighton accounts, like Creighton Twitter accounts coming in that are like, this is normal. Everybody does this. That scared me more than the fact that they got Elite Eight rings. Like I can't enter a fan base for a season that is supportive of this nonsense and not calling it out. No, I think Marquette wins the regular season. I'll leave it at that. I don't love this Marquette team, but I mean, they did it last year and they bring pretty much everybody back, in my opinion. I get like there's one massive departure. They bring the backcourt back. They bring 4 of their top 5 back. They've got guys who can step up into bigger roles. And like, I don't think it was a small feat winning the Big East regular season and tournament last year. Like the Big East was great. UConn was in that conference, as was 3 other really good teams that aren't Marquette. And Marquette was the best one for over the entire course of the season, like to the point that we weren't even like, not too many people were in on UConn coming into the NCAA tournament. I know some people picked them like Final Four, but like that team was a 4 seed because I mean, Marquette was the team, right? Like that's sort of who it was out of the Big East. So I think it's going to happen again. I will sell them in March. I will not back them in the NCAA tournament when we get there, but I will back them to win the regular season title.
Yeah, I really want to go with UConn. But what's holding me back from picking it is Klingen's health with his foot injury, and also just the fact that like coming off a national title, you might have a little bit of the championship hangover that gets him off to a slow start. I'm fine with either the Marquette or Creighton pick. Between the two, I mean, I don't know what the odds would be on it, but I would assume they'd be close to even. But I'd lean Creighton because of Trey Alexander, and even going with that Ashworth pairing. He's a better off-ball player than Nimhard was, which lets Trey Alexander cook on ball. And I mean, he's the guy who I've been beating the drum for all offseason that I think we could get like a All-American type of year out of him. So I'll pick Creighton as well.
I'm all good with the Creighton pick, and honestly, the UConn pick over Gildenbrand, Archie Diacono over there at Marquette. Moving on to the West Coast of the Pac-12, our good friend John Fanta picked Arizona to win the Pac-12. The last year, the Pac-12 is interesting to me, and I'm going, every such which way with this. And this is going to be a hot take, but I really don't care. I truly think that Colorado is going to find a way to win the Pac-12 this season, especially because all the coaches in the media picked them 5th this year in the conference. I think that just ups the chip. I love Simpson. I love Silva. For as all over the map he is, I'm still an Eddie Lampkin fan and just all the antics and everything like that. And then you bring in a lottery talent and Cody Williams, who is one of the best freshmen in the country. So I'm buying stock in Colorado having a chip on their shoulder, and Arizona still will play Caleb Love a lot of minutes. And I don't think people realize that can go good one way. Like that could get you to win in the Pac-12. That could also have you playing on the first day of the tournament of the Pac-12 as well if you're not careful. So I think I'm going to go with Colorado as my Pac-12 pick.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned Da Silva, but I just got to give a shout out to him as the best small forward in the country per Andy Cat. So love that pick with Colorado. Love the Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
I'm going to go with USC, though, because I love Isaiah Collier. I think he's about to put up some stupid numbers. So is Boogie Ellis. Like, I think they both could average like 16, 17 a game. Like, Boogie Ellis put up, I think, 17 or 18 last year. I love that backcourt. I think that gives them a high floor any given night. Plus, like, Andy Enfield just always has that stable of, like, either high 4-star or 5-star bigs that he can just throw out there between, like, Kijani Wright, Vince Iwuchukwu. I think they have someone else too. And if they get Bronny back, it's over.
I love the USC pick. That was my runner-up here. I would not be surprised if they win this conference. And I think I would probably back them in March over any other team in the Pac-12. But my pick is a team that I feel like I'm like a drug addict with this program. It's Arizona. I know it's bad for my health. I know it's extremely bad for my health now that they added Caleb Love. There's nothing worse for my physical and mental health than rooting for Caleb Love. But I think they're the best roster. I think they're the most complete roster. I think Umar Ballo is going to be fantastic now that it's sort of him alone in the front court. Not that him and Tubelis didn't work together, but I'm pretty excited about seeing what Ballo can do as like the first front court option now instead of the complimentary guy. I think Keshad Johnson is one of the most underrated pickups any program in the country has had. Again, Arizona's issue last year was just they had no interest in playing defense. It was like USC football. Like you just couldn't take them seriously on one side of the ball. Now you take Keshad Johnson and put him in, and like he's coming from the elite defense in college basketball that made it all the way to the title game, all the intangible bullshit. Like I don't think he's going to let the rest of the guys get away with mistakes when he's on the court. They still have one of my favorite players in the country in Pell Larson. They got a brand new backcourt, but like I think they have enough guys in the backcourt that Tommy Lloyd can actually just say, hey, Caleb, like ride the bench today. Like they're not going to need to play him 30 minutes when Boswell and Pell and Jaden Bradley are all right there. So I think it can work. I know I'm probably crazy for believing it can work, but I think that's the best roster by far.
Last flyer I want to say on this is there's a watch put out. I got a little bookmark put in on a couple bigs that people expect to take leaps this season because they could be the first option and or have more space. And I just want to push back that sometimes being the number one option, having more space doesn't always equal, leaps. And I think for me, Cliff Amarui and Umar Ballo fall into that category. So I'm keeping a close eye on that.
I feel like you really don't believe Ballo has any substance to his offensive game. And you keep lumping him in with bigs who are just like total catch and dunk bigs. And I think that's a big miss by you. I just want to say that.
Really? Okay. I personally think he's just a catch and dunk big.
Yeah.
But a really good one at this. Like he's got good hands. Like that's special. Having a big that can catch is special.
I think he has a lot more than that.
And he runs the floor really well. I feel like that's like, I don't know if is Amorie, is he good on, is he like, I don't know. I haven't watched Rutgers much. I know y'all have discussed him a good bit on this podcast recently, but does he have like athletic, like does he have speed like that or like conditioning?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. That's what he has. And I feel like people think it's going to be more than that.
Gotcha.
Good transition here to the Big Ten. I don't even know if we need to discuss this one pretty further in my eyes. John Fanta picked Purdue, and I think that's the right pick. You picked the team that won the Big Ten last season and won the Big Ten tournament and got better.
Oh, I think we should discuss it a little further. Don't you think, Cart?
Okay. No, because I'm kind of sick of discussing Purdue, to be honest with you.
I mean, but that's not your pick. You just endorsed Fanta's pick of Purdue. But anytime you've been asked to make the pick, you picked a different team than Purdue.
I mean, every day's a new day.
So are you picking Purdue? Like, can we get you on record? You can't keep flip-flopping it. Is Purdue going to win the Big Ten?
As of today, yeah.
See, I am not a fan of your game right now. That's so rare.
When do I have to put in my official pick?
Like 2 days ago, you said you're going with Michigan State.
Oh, I mean, if I'm going to be held to this, I'm picking Michigan State.
So are you picking Purdue or are you picking Michigan State?
I'm picking Michigan State. I understand why everybody else is picking Purdue. It makes sense.
But you just picked Purdue.
Because it makes sense, and I need to be logical in a very illogical world.
Okay. Riley, who's your pick, man?
Barton Dogs.
Yes, sir.
Greg, I feel like I know Greg was like going to bat hard for Braden Smith throughout the summer, kind of opened my eyes to his game. I was unfamiliar with how good he was last year, went back and did some research, crunched the tape. Like Braden Smith, I think will have a huge sophomore leap. And I don't think Purdue's guards will be the liability they were last year. But it's just, I can't get away from this Michigan State roster. Like I love the upside of it. I love the freshman class coming in and the fact that they have enough vets back that they're not going to have to rely on Xavier Booker, Cohen Carr, Garrick Norman, like in January when conference play starts. They can lean on Tyson. They can lean on Hogard. But come February, late February, early March, like I feel like Xavier Booker is going to be a difference maker. I think Cohen Carr is going to have some sort of a role. So yeah, that's where I'm just like they have that quintessential blend you look for of reliable veterans who have been there, who have done it on a big stage, and they also have high upside freshmen and future pros.
I love the Michigan State roster. I really do. I love both teams. I think they're both very good teams. It's great the Big Ten has two great teams again, but yeah, come on. Like when one of these cores has lost 13 games every single season, one of them was the best team in the country for much of last season. And also got better, by the way. Like all the things we're saying about Michigan State, like, a loaded freshman class. Purdue has that too. At positions of need.
Relax
Yeah,
on
I don't
loaded
think
freshman class.
Colvin.
They got Colvin. That's it.
Colvin Hyde.
Hyde's not a freshman.
He is a redshirt freshman.
Okay, but like that's loaded class.
Are there going to be new guys on the floor for Purdue this season that were not last season that upgrade them at areas of need? Yes.
Yeah, I guess I'm just nitpicking on the loaded class part.
Okay,
That's crazy.
But I'm envisioning how this impacts the guys on the floor, because no matter how many stars Michigan State's recruiting class got, it's not going to matter when Mady Sissoko's on the floor in crunch time over them. So Purdue, I feel
you also
very
told
confident.
me yes. You also told me yesterday that you're out on Miles Colvin.
Yeah, I am. I have questions about Miles Colvin. Brian Waddell, though. That's a guy.
That's a guy. Great name.
That's a guy. I just say they have new faces, new answers. Kaufman-Wren's a huge upgrade. Nobody's talking about that either. Again, everyone on Michigan State's going to take a leap. Nobody on Purdue is. That's what I've been led to believe all offseason. So that's kind of what would need to happen for Michigan State to win this league, in my opinion.
All right. And the last team here, SEC. John Phantom picked Arkansas, must bust, to win this one. I would go against this. I think Alabama wins the SEC this season. And I know SEC country's going to come at me and tell me that Tennessee should be the team that's going to win the regular season. I'm good. They got Vescovi and they got Rick Barnes. Not my cup of tea, not my cup of anything. I'm going with Bama. I love Nelson. I'm just not going to let this go that Greg just drooled to my left just a second ago. Yes, like visible spit just came from your mouth and dripped onto your desk. That's wild. But I mean, some people get that type of sensation when talking about Grant Nelson playing basketball. So I don't blame you. And I'm in on Sears and I'm in on Estrada as a backcourt. So yeah, I think Bama is going to win the SEC this season.
I'm going to go with Texas A&M. I feel like they have the least amount of question marks on the roster with that backcourt with Wade Taylor, Tyrese Radford. There's part of me that wants to go with Kentucky because I think come the NCAA tournament, they have the highest ceiling of any of those teams. But again, freshman heavy team might take a little while to get things going. So yeah, I'll rock with the Aggies.
I'm fascinated by Texas A&M because they went 15-3 in the SEC last year. They lost 7 games not in the SEC last year.
Including a loss to Wofford, which is really bad.
It's really hard for me to compute that. Like the SEC was good last year and Texas A&M went 15-3, but lost 7 games outside. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know which one is the real them. It's like Two-Face, back to talking superheroes with Carter. Like he's like Harvey Dent right now. I don't know which side's the real side. I don't know. I don't love the SEC this year. I don't really trust any of these teams. I don't trust Alabama because Grant Nelson has some good dunk in practice videos. I don't trust Auburn, even though I want to trust Auburn because I love Aiden Holloway. I am not really buying Tennessee the way everybody wants me to buy Tennessee, but I know all the numbers say Tennessee. Like Miyakawa has Tennessee second in the country. I don't know. I want to buy Kentucky. Is that bad? I saw the picture of Big Z next to John Calipari. Did you guys see that yesterday? He's huge. Like Big Z is humongous. I think I'm going to go Kentucky just because Big Z is humongous.
You're kind of swaying me on Kentucky just talking it out because they also have Antonio Reeves, who's like the steadying presence. Like we are big Antonio Reeves fans here. So I don't know if I want to trust Buzz Williams either for a whole conference season. So maybe I'll flip with you and go Kentucky.
If the safe pick is the one you're trying to pick, I think it's Tennessee, but that's not fun. I'm going Kentucky. We're going Kentucky. So are you all right, Cart? It kind of looks like you're being held hostage right now. I don't know what's going on there.
No, my wife was trying to get the Apple Watch charger, and she was like looking at me to grab it, and I was like, "It's like right there. Like you can get that." Okay. I think we can all agree though that we would not go Arkansas with this pick, but you know what? That's part of picks. People are going to judge you on your picks. Thank you guys for indulging in that exercise with me in that topic. I know that went a little long because we had to go through 3 teams, but this next one will be a little bit quicker.